Good morning this morning, my love muffins.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love muffins in cyberspace. I heard you too. And let us give a special hello to our friend Naren, who's putting us on the map. So,
yes, thank you.
Your work has been noticed and much appreciated. Know the truth? So we're on the third week of our New Thought tradition of reviewing the first 4 chapters of Science of Mind in the first 4 weeks of January. The thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and next week, how to use it will be Reverend Denise. And I said we would be able to describe all this in 4 weeks in 5 words. 1, love, law, life, and prayer. If it could be summed up in 1 word, the premise which is the foundation of our entire belief system, it would be 1. Everything is based on that truth, that we are one with the divine creator. And the thing itself, the essence, the Spirit of God, is love. The way it works, its operation, is law. And what it does is life. It lives. Ernest Holmes describes the thing itself and the way it works as the perfect dual unity of God. A divine ear that listens and a universal law that does. And what it does completes the Holy Trinity. What it does is it lives. It becomes the body of God. Spirit, soul, and body. The Holy Trinity. In the Christian faith, it's the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. For us, it's love, law, and life. So love is why the Creator creates. And law is how the Creator creates. And life is what the Creator creates. And it's all one. I think I've shared this story before. There are parents of several very unruly young children who finally found a babysitter so they could go out and enjoy a much-needed adult parents' date night out without the kids. And they were pleasantly surprised when they came home to find the children sound asleep. And the babysitter on her way out the door said, "Oh, by the way, I promised the kids if they went to sleep, you'd buy them a pony in the morning." Well done for the babysitter. Promises, promises. I think that's what they mean by beware of false idols. It's very unlikely that this promise gets fulfilled. It's a promise that's not inclusive of the ways and means to deliver the goods. And that's what's unique about our belief system and our oneness of these 3 aspects, these 3 natures of God. Because God's promise, the promise of love, of grace, of good, of glory, is not an empty promise, because the capability to fulfill it is contained within it. That is the purpose of the law. It's all one. The thing itself cannot be separated from the way it works or what it does. This is the story that our symbol, the Science of Mind logo, teaches. The circle represents one, the allness, the everything, the all-inclusiveness of all creation. And the V and the parallel lines that are contained inside the circle, they represent this triune nature of God that we talk about. The thing itself, the way it works, and what it does. In the top, where love is, we're talking about the essence of mind, the essence of spirit, consciousness, the idea, contemplation. As it descends from this highest creator in an invisible form, down through the law of creation, the law that governs everything that is in the universe, our soul, our subconscious mind, the reservoir where all our beliefs are stored, where all the beliefs of all time are stored. The law moves into action. And what it does is it builds form. around the idea. It builds a body around the consciousness that we hold. It creates life. So what it does is it lives, and it lives through us. It flows through us because it flows through everything that there is. It individualizes and personifies itself in each and every one of us, in all humankind. One God incarnated in all people. The Creator, the creative process, and creation are all one. The Creator does not act independently of its creation. If it's all one, the Creator does not create independent of its creation. It acts through its creation. So the Spirit is regarded as pure energy, pure light, an infinite universal mind, an infinite intelligence. And matter is spirit or mind expressing in form, reflecting and mirroring the mind. First there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What was in the mind of God became manifest. Let there be light, and there was. And ever since humankind has risen to self-consciousness, ate the apple according to the biblical scripture, crawled out of the water according to science, discovered fire according to evolution, ever since humankind raised in awareness of self-consciousness, the Word is now in us too, whatever that word might be. The Word that passes through us is as creative as the Word that passed through the original supreme divine Creator. It's the Father within that doeth the work, but he doeth it through our words. Exactly. And exactly is the key word. So when I was trying to really understand this, we had said last week, one of the answers for me that was so resonated was this to me explained why I would look and say, why do good things happen to bad people? You know, why do bad things happen to good people? Had it sort of categorized, and in my judgment, I decided who deserves rewards and who deserves punishments. And I couldn't understand why a loving God would allow some of the atrocities that happen in the world. But in understanding, God can only do for us through us. I realized even God can't force grace and good on us. We have to open the channel for that to flow. So I was trying to understand some of my own, what I would describe as limitations, ruts, disappointments, something that I wanted to get free from. And I would look at it and say, but I'm not thinking negatively about that thing. Like, why is there war? Why is there fighting? Why is there discord? You know, I'm a peace person. I'll go to the peace movements. I'm the hippie, right? Back in those days, peace, love. And so how can discord be being created around me? That can't make sense. If consciousness creates and my consciousness is one of peace, then why is peace not radiating around me? Even if not in the whole world, in my atmosphere. And why? Because I don't think of war. Tell me something. Exactly how peaceful is your mind? Tell me how much your mind does not war with itself. Doesn't war about the way you look. Doesn't war about anything you've ever done. Doesn't war with anything you're doing now. Doesn't war with the circumstances that are happening in your life. Can anybody claim that most of the time, more than 50% of the time, their mind is just in a place of appreciation and gratitude and peace and, you know? That day that you can say that, you will be surrounded by peace. You will manifest. You will draw into your experience that. So when I was studying this, I realized it's not exact link. But if consciousness creates, I have to be making a contribution to it. It's impossible that I'm not. So how does that work? So I started with the little system that helped me understand it. And I put consciousness, mind, the top of our circle, that thing that is invisible, infinite intelligence. I put it on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, God consciousness to us is pretty clear. God is love. So God consciousness is of goodness, is of peace, is of love, is of joy, is of harmony. And as that power to create flows through us, and we have free will, God cannot force that consciousness on us. That is a part of who we are, because that's out of what we are created. But God can't force that thinking on us, because now we have risen to a place of free will. So now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how closely does our consciousness hold and focus on these truth concepts? And we see that scale go all the way down to we're just mean and nasty, and our heart is tarnished, and we see the ugly in the world, and we talk about the ugly in the world. What did you used to say about, what do you call them, cave
people.
Cave people.
Citizens against virtually everything.
There you go. Citizens against virtually everything. Cave people. I've been a cave person once or twice in my life at different times. So on the lowest scale, where people talk about, you mean there's not evil? In our belief system, that's impossible. It's all one. There's only God. There's only good. But I live in a world where I see evil happening. But that's because it passes through God's creation. And now God's creation has the free will to entertain ideas of evil and to hold that in their consciousness. So this is purely a scale of thought. Where are we on that scale of entertaining the dark or the light? And then I made a second scale, which is a scale that represents the physical world, the body, the expression of life and God. And likewise, where God expresses in life is up there at a 10, you're going to see health and wealth and prosperity and abundance and fun and joy and glory, right? Because God is good. But as it passed through us and into creation, having free will again, we create situations that aren't described like that. We create poverty. We create disease and lack of health. We create scarcity. We create discord and disharmony. So this scale is about the stuff and things. It's about life. The other scale is about the consciousness, the ideas we hold. And so what this Trinity says, what the thing itself, the way it works and what it does says, is there a perfect match? If on the consciousness scale I am functioning there at a 5.5, then I am going to draw circumstances into my experience that are on a scale of 1 to 10 rate around a 5.5. They may not look exactly the same. I may talk constantly about, I don't have enough time, I'm always in a rush, I'm so anxious, and what I might draw back is discord that looks like fighting. I didn't entertain war. I didn't entertain hate. But on a 5.5, people are nice to your face, and when you're not looking them right in the face, they might be stabbing you in the back, and they might, right? I'm going to draw like vibrational experiences, not exact thematic experience, like vibrational experiences. Where I am in the overall consciousness of my mind, my heart, my actions relative to the truth, that 10 of who we are. There's always an exact match. Like attracts like. That's what it does. So, 3 M's are 3 H's. It measures, it matches, and it manifests our head, our heart, and our hands. The ideas that we hold, the feelings that we generate, and the actions that we choose. This law of nature, this thing itself, the way it works and what it does, it measures that on a vibrational scale. It matches it with form and a manifest form around it. 3 M's are 3 H's. Ernest Holmes said, since we're thinking beings and we can't stop thinking, and since creative intelligence receives our thought and it can't stop creating, this belief system must always be creating something for us. What it's creating depends on what we're thinking. What it's creating depends on our consciousness. And the person who most completely believes this and understands this and deliberately applies it will be the one who produces the best results in life experience. Why? Because what it does is 3M or 4 H's. It measures and matches and manifests the consciousness, the atmosphere of our thoughts, our hearts, and our hands. The thing itself, that's God's will. Love, grace, good, glory. The way it works, that's free will. It passes through a law of creation. And what it does, that's our will. It's where we hold our consciousness. So, in the beginning, we behold nothing visible. In creation, in our life experiences, in the beginning, there is nothing visible. There is only that quantum physics, that infinite possibility of a limitless imaginations, a limitless consciousness. And the only action of consciousness is the idea. So there's only the limitless possibility of the idea. But whatever idea we hold, however grand it is, to that degree, it'll manifest. Remember the cartoons we showed last week? We showed that Popeye from 1933, where it was like a little stick figure and how it engaged our attention. And nowadays there's such 3D figures, they look alive like real people. Why didn't they just create that in the first place? Because they didn't have the consciousness. There was no one in the world who had the ability to create what we create today as animation. Because we're always growing and unfolding from what currently exists. So the unique vibrations of our ideas, our personal thought atmospheres, and the individual preoccupations of our hearts activate a law, and the law becomes our living experience. The higher our vibration, meaning the lighter our hearts, the more our ideas are moving closer to the truth of who we are, the closer our experience is to what God intended our experience to be. Good. Glory. Once we accept this premise, we can stop wondering why the world is the way it is. Every time people say, well, why is this happening over in this entire country? Why is this happening to this particular family? I immediately know if you believe what we believe, there is only one answer. Consciousness creates. God didn't create it. God didn't pick it. God didn't select it. God created law and free will, and through individual or collective consciousness, form is made. So we don't have to spend time or energy once we accept this trying to figure out the whys. Why is this happening? Why? We can spend our time figuring out what is the consciousness that is creating this, and what is my consciousness. And for me, war is a big one. Politics, oh my God, talk about conflict is a big one. Because we're always talking about them. We're always talking about those sorry losers that are creating the problem. We don't even catch on that every time we hold that idea, we're the sorry losers that are creating the idea of discord. How can we hold that thought and not create it? How is that possible? Until we are able to elevate that belief system to the point that it literally regulates the way our heart feels when we bring up that subject, we're contributing to the team that we don't want manifesting in this world. So by higher vibration, it literally means a lighter heart and elevated ideas, vision instead of sight. Holding this idea of truth instead of basing our feelings and our thoughts on the experiences that we see at this time. Because all that reflects is who we were, not who we are. It just reflects a process that has already been unfolding and has manifest. We strive to rise to the truth because we know every time we find a way to lift our minds and hearts, the law knows a way to lift our circumstances. We don't have to know how. If we lift, then like attracts like, then new form has to be built around that elevated consciousness. When we lift, it lifts. That's what it does. Think it out. The way it works, and what it does. Alan Cohen, who is one of my favorite current New Thought gurus, told a story about our storyline and our glory line. I just love that terminology. Our glory line is the truth of who we are. That infinite, eternal presence and power, that grace and good that is already the truth of who we are. But our storyline, that we have total free will to create, is often other than or less than all that goodness that is the truth of God, our Creator. So actually, when you get down to it, there are two aspects of what it does. There's what it does, and there's what it intended to do. What it intended to do is create according to our glory line. What it does do is it creates according to our storyline. But God and grace and glory are always present. An analogy I heard, which I loved, was imagine an ocean liner. How many cruisers do we have in here? We love to go on our cruises, right? So imagine an ocean liner that's leaving Miami to head to Jamaica. Its destination has been predetermined by the power in charge, by the authority in charge, whoever that is. And nothing can change that. Nothing can change this higher authority. But imagine also that there are lots of passengers on board this ocean liner, and they are completely free to move around as they will. They can eat, they can sleep, they can play, they can pray, they can lounge about the deck, they can read, they can relax, they can talk and socialize. They can do and be and feel as they please. All the while, the great ocean liner is carrying them steadily onward toward the predetermined port. So both freedom and this higher authority, both God's will and free will, are present. They don't contradict each other. They coexist, they cooperate, they co-create. So the mighty ocean liner of God's divine design keeps its steady course on the sea of infinite possibility. It keeps its course towards our inevitable destiny, which is grace and good and glory. As we continue on our journey of self-discovery, it's inevitable that we will reach that port. What it does, it travels on its glory line while simultaneously 3M'ing our 4 H's, measuring, matching, and manifesting our storylines, what we hold in our heads, our hearts, and our activities. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, what is our storyline? Unfortunately, as Esther Hicks said, we were taught to face reality before we were taught we create reality. Get real, right? Most of our ideas and beliefs are constructed from misinformation, from untruths, especially ones that are taught to us by sources of authority. sources that we trust and respect, like parents or teachers or clergy, or beware of false prophets. Anybody a Reader's Digest fans for their I love their little jokes. Well, they had this whole section in a February issue a couple years ago called The Lies We Tell Our Kids. I didn't ever use these lies, but these are pretty darn creative. Like, one child's father told him toys grew under the weeds in the yard, and if he kept pulling them, eventually a toy would pop out. Now there's a story.
That was creative.
Or this winter, parents told their kids, if the ice cream truck is playing music, then it's run out of ice cream. Or the boy's father who told him if he looked after this special growing rock and he watered it each day until it stopped growing, he could have a dog. And that little boy watered that rock every single day and watched it, and every week the father, while the boy was in school, replaced the rock with a slightly bigger rock. I hope this has a happy ending, like maybe he's the guy that invented pet rocks or something. I don't know. Well, these are kind of innocent, false stories, but they're stories that are planted that we believe is truth. That is what life is in its experience once it's manifested in this form with free will. And some of the untruths that we've believed, very damaging, very wounding to our souls. Why do we have the plague that we have in this country of depression and anxiety and substance abuse? And why do those things exist? They are just reflections of our what appears to be broken sense of self, of harm and damage and wounding that has been done to us in a much more consistent way. And once it's been done, pain honestly lives in the moment. Suffering lives in our mind. We self-feed it, we nurture it, and we grow it. Know the truth? And the truth will set you free. What we need to remember is we are so much more than our storylines. A very real part of us exists beyond our worries, beyond our doubts, independent of our troubles and our frustrations and our wounds, independent of anything that we've manifested so far in life that tells us we're small, that tells us we're insignificant and unimportant. Alan Cohen, again, my little favorite contemporary guru, if you ever have a chance, get some of his books. He has a couple wonderful books that are like one-page stories, and every one of them is just an inspirational. A Daily Dose of Sanity, I think, is one of them, and I can't think of the name of the other, but Alan Cohen. He told a great story about being at the airport and noticing a sign that said, "The purpose of a suitcase is to protect its contents. Cuts, scrapes, scratches are a normal part of transportation wear and tear." A normal part. Well, humanity is a suitcase for divinity. Transportation wear and tear cannot affect the precious content. It's virtually impossible to keep the outer casing from getting bumped and getting bruised and getting hurt and getting wounded and getting old. But one day, each of our human suitcases will outlive their usefulness, and we will choose to discard them. And when we do that, when our suitcase is opened, it will reveal and release its unhurt, unharmed, unspoiled contents. That's also what it does. The thing itself, the way it works, and what it does. It always preserves the glory line while working simultaneously with our storyline. So until then, until we decide to discard our suitcase and allow that glory free, we were born to live, right? The thing itself, the way it works and what it does. Love, law, and life. We get bumps and we get bruises, and we grow as we go. When we lift, God lifts. We can never call forth the thing itself. The presence of God and grace and good and glory, it's already always present, as the name would suggest, the presence. And we can never stop activating the law. Its power is eternally operating through us. Its nature cannot be denied or defined, nor can ours. The truth of who we are is one with this greatness and goodness. So we are co-creators in a universe where God, energy, consciousness, is everything and all-powerful. And our ideas, our understanding of it, our choices of how and where to invest our energies are always expanding and evolving. So your mission, my love muffins, if you so choose to accept it, is to lift your storyline and enable your glory line. When we lift, God lifts. That's what it does. 3 M's are 3 H's. Measures, matches, and manifests our heads, our hearts, and our hands. So, your job, lift your storyline and enable your glory line. Your job is lift my storyline and enable my glory line. 4 weeks, 5 words. 1, love, law, life, and prayer. The thing itself, love, the way it works, law, and what it does, life. When we lift, God lifts. That's what it does. We can't go back and make a new start, but we could start now and make a new ending. We are the people, now's the time, and this is the way. Namaste, my love.